All right, let's dive right in. Welcome, everyone, to our English Reading Masterclass. Today, I'm going to be your study buddy as we break down a classic Aesop's fable together in this explainer. But look, we aren't just reading a story. We are going to unlock some absolutely fantastic E3 level English vocabulary, stuff that will literally level up your reading comprehension and help you express some pretty complex emotions. So, before we jump into the tale, I want you to ask yourself something. Have you ever wanted something that someone else had? I mean, it's a totally universal feeling, right? That sudden, sharp sting of envy. Well, today's reading practice is all about a camel who felt exactly that, and maybe wanted just a little too much. Let's see how that actually worked out for him. Okay, Section 1, the camel's envy. Let's set the scene and look at our camel's rather bitter reaction to a very impressive bull. Read along with me. Once, upon seeing a bull parade about with a magnificent pair of horns, the camel was seized with envy. Man, just notice how dynamic that sentence is. It paints such a vivid picture in your mind of this proud bull and our intensely jealous camel. What's really cool here is how these specific verbs and adjectives do all the heavy lifting for the story. We have parade about, which means to walk around in a way that deliberately shows off to others. Then magnificent, meaning absolutely stunning or beautiful. And my absolute favorite, be seized with envy. But the camel wasn't just a little jealous. The envy grabbed him. It forcibly took hold of him. It seized him. You can really feel that sudden, gripping jealousy in that English phrasing. Let's keep reading. And as we do, try to imagine the arrogant, bitter tone of the camel hair. It seemed to him grossly unfair that the bull should be so splendidly armed while he himself had been given nothing of the sort. I mean, you can just hear his deep sense of injustice, can't you? And this brilliantly illustrates how advanced vocabulary creates powerful imagery. Grossly unfair isn't just unfair, it's hugely, obviously, and offensively unjust. Then look at splendidly armed. This is such a clever way to describe the bull's horns. They aren't just body parts, they're glorious weapons. And the camel looks at himself and sees he has nothing of the sort, meaning nothing like that at all. Moving right along to Section 2, a demand to Zeus. So the camel isn't just going to sit around complaining. Nope, he decides to take his grievances straight to the top of Mount Olympus. Let's read. Filled with discontent, he made his way to Zeus, the king of the gods, and demanded that he too be granted a set of horns. Listen to those strong action verbs. He didn't ask politely, the guy demanded. Let's break down those crucial phrases. The camel is filled with discontent, completely unsatisfied and unhappy. So he makes his way to Zeus, meaning he purposefully and deliberately travels there. And his goal? To be granted or officially and formally given a set of horns. These words really highlight his bold motivation. He feels totally entitled to make a direct request to the king of the gods. Which brings us to Section 3, the greed punished. Let's shift our perspective to the booming, displeased king of the gods as we hit the dramatic climax of our fable. Zeus, however, was displeased that the camel, already blessed with great size and strength, should prove so ungrateful and covet still more. What a truly powerful sentence. The stark contrast between the wonderful gifts the camel already possesses and what he greedily desires is just massive. The core of the story is right here in these vocabulary words. Zeus is displeased, highly annoyed and unhappy. Why? Because the camel is blessed with or naturally gifted with massive size and strength. Yet he's ungrateful, completely failing to appreciate what he has, and he dares to covet. To covet means to deeply, greedily desire something that doesn't actually belong to you. It's literally the perfect word to explain the reason for Zeus's divine anger. Let's map out how this builds into a tragic sequence. Step 1, the camel already had great size and strength. Step 2, he gave in to greed and craved horns. Step 3, the consequence. Zeus cropped the camel's ears. The logic here is classic fable structure, right? Ingratitude leads directly to loss. Let's look at the exact words for that physical consequence. As a punishment for his greed, Zeus didn't just say no. He decided to crop or cut short the camel's ears. So by craving or deeply hungering for what he didn't have, the camel ended up losing a portion of or a part of what he was already given. Ouch. All right, section 4, role play Q&A practice. Okay, time to get interactive. We're going to test your comprehension of both the story and the vocabulary using a really fun role play exercise. Get ready to speak up. Here is role play number 1. Step into the hooves of the camel for a second. I'm asking you directly, why were you so angry when you saw the bull? How would you answer using the new English vocabulary we just learned? Take a second, think about it. Let's look at a great model answer. As the camel, you could say, I was seized with envy because it was grossly unfair he was splendidly armed. See how we can naturally string together those E3 phrases into a perfect first-person response? It totally captures his bitter complaint. Ready for role play number 2? Let's switch roles. You are now Zeus. Why did you refuse the camel's request? Try to speak with the powerful authority and reasoning of the king of the gods, using your new words. Let's walk through the king of the gods answer. You might say, he was already blessed with size, but proved ungrateful and dared to covet more. This brilliantly highlights the core reasoning for the punishment, and it uses our target vocabulary of ingratitude and greed flawlessly. Final role play number 3. You're now the narrator, an objective observer of this whole mess. What exactly did the camel lose in the end? Can you summarize the physical consequence of the story's events? As punishment, his ears were cropped, losing a portion of what he already had. This confirms the physical loss in the fable, bringing the target English vocabulary right alongside its contextual meaning. Honestly, excellent job on this practice. And finally, section 5, key vocabulary review. Before we wrap up, let's do a rapid-fire consolidation of the most important words from today's lesson. We really want to lock these into your long-term memory. Parade about, showing off. Be seized with envy, suddenly overcome with intense jealousy. Ungrateful, failing to show thanks for what you have. Covet, wrongly and greedily desiring something. Crop, to physically cut short. And be content with, to be satisfied and at peace with what you have. Lock those in. And that brings us to our golden quote, the true moral of the story. Be content with what you have, lest in craving more you lose even that. I really want to leave you with this profound takeaway. You know, in our modern world, we're constantly told to covet, to want more, more, more. But are we risking the beautiful things we already have in that endless, greedy pursuit? Keep that provocative thought with you, keep practicing your English, and I will see you on the next explainer.